In honor of Somerville Media Center's Speak Up Telethon on Sunday, June 10th, the crew from What's New, Massachusetts revisits some of its favorite locations in the city's thriving Assembly Row neighborhood. What's New, Somerville? Here are your co-hosts Sam Baltrusis and Sharon Filiar.
And welcome to What's New, Massachusetts. This is a special edition for the Somerville Media Center.
Yes, and they're holding a telethon. The SMC not only produces content, but it also supports the community. So dig deep and support SMC.
Yeah, there's a donate button that we can have on our website, what'snewmassachusetts.com, right. And also on the screen as well.
Yes, and Somerville is undergoing so many changes. SMC represents all of the community. So even if you can only give just a little, give what you can. Is for a really worthwhile cause. And
I'm a proud member of the board of directors in the Somerville Media Center, and I've been a part of it for a couple of years, and we've done really well. This is our home base for What's New, Massachusetts. Mm-hmm. It's on 24, 25 affiliates throughout the state of Massachusetts.
Yes, it's so exciting, and the staff here is amazing. They're so supportive. They work hard, and they're here to support the community and to give voice to people who are right here.
So what we do is we focus on new businesses in Massachusetts, and we talked a lot about Assembly Row because I live there,
right?
And there's a lot of new things happening in Assembly Row.
And one of them is the American Fresh Brew House. It is amazing. So it started out as a beer garden, which they still have, and then it sort of transitioned into a brick and mortar establishment. And they have great beer that they make in-house, and they have a great eating menu.
Yeah, the fries were to die for.
They were so delicious. I just kept eating them, and Sam was trying to get one, and I said, nope, I'm eating them all.
So you had the burger, right?
I did. I had that too. It was so good. It was so good.
So I don't drink alcohol, but I hear the beer is fantastic.
Yes, and they make it in-house. And what's so great about the American Fresh Brew House is that families can bring their children. A lot of establishments do not allow children to, enter the facility where they serve liquor. So it's a kind of special place where mom and dad can have a cold beer and the children can have a sandwich.
Yeah, so they had the circus at the Assembly Row.
Yes.
And a lot of the families were going to American Fresh Brew House, so it was packed.
Yes, and it is a central location. Every time I go there, it's packed. Every time I go to Assembly Row, there's so many people there.
So let's check out our visit to American Fresh Brew House.
This is Sharon Filiar for What's New, Massachusetts. Here we are in Assembly Row at the American Fresh Brew House, a beautiful brick and mortar establishment right here in Assembly Row. Now, what's so special about this place is that it started as a beer garden outside, and now they're inside. We're going to be speaking to General Manager Ray Rabitsky about that and about other things that are going on here in just a moment. We are now with Mr. Ray Rabitsky. He is the general manager of American Fresh Brew House. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having us.
Wow, now this establishment started out as a beer garden outside. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so a couple years back we opened up a beer garden. This is on the other side of this Assembly Row here. And over the years it became one of the most popular spots in this area. Outdoors, open, having a beer when it's super hot outside is an awesome experience. I know it's the only thing like its kind here in Assembly Row.
It is, and what's really great, and that I haven't seen too many places, is that children can stay with their parents while they're enjoying a drink. That usually does not happen. So that's a tremendous draw, in addition to Partners Healthcare being across the way. So you get a lot of those employees as well.
Yeah, especially during the work week. We have a lot of employees that can just come after a long day's work. They come sit down, they put all their bags down, their jackets off, and they sit down. I'm like, I know exactly what you need. Don't worry.
Now, we actually spoke before taping, and you mentioned that you can tell the type of day one of the employees has had by the type of beer that they order. So if someone is having a particularly bad day, what beer would they order?
Probably our Trucker Triple, which is our Belgian Golden Ale, which is just slightly above 9%.
Okay, and if they've had a good day, what would they order?
Probably our Happy Soul Blood Orange Hefeweizen. A nice, easy drink.
Okay, so when they've had a really tough day, They go for the hard stuff. Got it. Now, what I really enjoyed was that they have a really great menu here as well. I was just eyeing these wonderful wontons with jalapeno and cheese. But what is your favorite selection on the menu?
Probably our Brussels sprouts.
Yeah, that is not my favorite.
It wasn't my favorite when I first started, but with our fantastic cooks and chef here, I definitely recommend it to our customers.
But you know, the American Fresh Brew House not only is great for its cuisine and because you have wonderful beers here, you're also really accessible. Assembly Row is burgeoning. There are so many shops here. We're right across from the Orange Line. It's easy to get here and get through here, and access to 93. And this is sort of like the second wave of establishments that are kind of building up Assembly Row to make it even more attractive, not just to live, but to just come in and to have a great time. So how do you feel about all that?
I mean, it's great. We're only 30 feet away from the T station, so especially for Bruins or Celtics games at the Garden, we're only a few stops away. So people will come here before the game, come here after the game as well, and just commuters during the work week. We're the first restaurant they see when they get off the T.
So as soon as they get off the T, they're like, we're going there. Now, I'd like to ask you about some of these very interesting names of the beers. I know there are quite a few of them, but I know you mentioned a few of them earlier, but what are some of the other names of your brews here?
So probably our most popular beers are Flag Razor IPA, and we go through a rotating draft of beers. So we'll typically have about 6 or 8 beers that we have year-round, and then everything else, every month we have something new. Or like last week we got 2 new beers. We have a Doppelbock that's called the Red Balloon, and we have a White Mosaic IPA that's called the Harebrand.
So I would imagine that certain people have their special beers that they always order. So that's also another draw to come into the American Fresh Brew House to try all the different beers and figure out which one you like the best and become a regular here. Well, Mr. Ray Rabinski, thank you so much for joining us today. It's so much fun talking to you. Continued success.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Having a great time here at the American Fresh Brew House. We just spoke to Mr. Roy Rabitsky, the general manager here, and getting to know about the history of the establishment, where it was, where it is, where it's going. I think I have my favorite right here, Happy Soul. I encourage you to come on down and try out all of their beer selections, not all at once. So you can pick out your favorite. It's easily accessible to the Orange Line, and it's in the heart of Assembly Row.
And welcome back to the special edition of What's New Massachusetts. So, Cher, we're going to talk about one of my favorite locations and restaurants in Massachusetts, Southern Can Cookhouse.
Yeah, that place was great. They make all the food in-house. Everything is fresh.
And when we went there, I had the frogmore stew.
Yes, you did. Now I'm allergic to seafood, but I watched Sam eat it. It was gone. It was gone. I had the chicken and waffles, and the syrup was so delicious. I can still taste it.
Southern food is definitely one of my favorites. I grew up in the South. My mother cooked Southern food, so I really enjoy it. But I also enjoy the Medici. They just opened up in Assembly Row as well.
Wow.
And there's this pesto pizza that they make the pesto in-house. It is fantastic.
Oh my God. Now, I love pesto by itself on like bread and things, so I can't imagine it on pizza. It sounds delicious.
So we have, the clip that we went to when we went to Southern Can Cookhouse, and we're going to revisit that clip.
Okay, sounds good.
So let's check it out.
This is Sharon Filliar for What's New Massachusetts. Here we are at Southern Kin Restaurant, here in the heart of Assembly Row, with good old-fashioned, down-home Southern cooking. With me now is Mr. William Johnson, the General Manager of Southern Kin Cookhouse. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you very much for stopping by and visiting us.
This is great. You know, as soon as we came in, you can feel the energy of the restaurant, the beautiful ambiance, the smell of the food, and look at these beautiful dishes. How do you come up with this menu?
You know, it's definitely a collaboration. We're part of Boston Nightlife Venture, and we have a culinary team led by Chef Bill Brodsky, who is our culinary director. We really were looking for something that Somerville didn't have to offer, looking for a concept that we could find that was unique and be able to put it in here and be a success. And, you know, we've been very blessed, fortunately, that this concept is doing extremely well in Assembly Row.
And I'm so impressed with the presentation. Could you take us through the dishes that you have in front of us here?
You know, one of the unique things about Southern King Cookhouse is that we are the only non-franchise restaurant in Assembly Row, so we have a little bit of wiggle room there to do different things. So we're a 100% scratch kitchen. Nothing comes frozen off a truck, ever. We make all of our sauces. Everything is prepped daily in-house. So right here we have our famous chicken and waffles. We're looking at a cheddar chive waffle. We have our golden delicious fried chicken with some Fresno chilies, a house-made honey hot. We also here have our hogs and hooch, which is going to be our homemade farmhouse biscuits, a nice bourbon braised pork belly, and then we're topping it with a fried green tomato, which is typical to the South.
Oh, I see.
And we're hitting it with a little chow chow relish and a little bit of Fresno drizzle as well. Right here we have one of our number one items. That's our frogmore stew. I'm very pleased with this dish. Everything, once again, is extremely local and extremely fresh. So we have fresh PEI mussels, Daybolt scallops, Gulf shrimp, local andouille sausage, corn on the cob, red bliss potatoes, and a nice tomato okra broth. So it's almost like when the North meets the South, little New England clam boil.
Wow, that is a mouthful. Now, I was fooled because I thought that was popcorn over there, but it's a drink.
All of our drinks, once again, we have a beverage director, Mike Boughton. He's part of Boston Nightlife Venture, so all of our cocktails are craft. We infuse our own bourbon in-house, Four Roses Bourbon. So this is our little play at the night at the movies. It's a little caramel popcorn, some cola, everything goes well. It's a nice bourbon-based drink.
Oh, that's exciting. Now, are these the most favorite, the most popular dishes here at your establishment?
You know, we're very fortunate that everything moves, everything's selling. I guess it depends what mood you're in.
You know, it's amazing. The smell is intoxicating. Now, what I also wanted to ask you about, Mr. Johnson, is the beautiful decor. The fans are eclectic, the lighting. How did you come up with the concept for the decor?
Well, you know, Boston Nightlife Venture is really trying to be the cutting edge in the hospitality industry. So it's a collaboration, a lot of minds come in between it. But we wanted to do things like the exposed brick and the American flag and the high ceilings and the industrial look, really to fit in with the Assembly Row feel.
And I wanted to ask you, there's so much construction going on here in Assembly Row. How has that affected your influx of customers?
You know what, as far as our customer base goes, the construction hasn't done anything except get me excited for the future.
That sounds great. Well, thank you so much for joining us. This looks like an exciting establishment. Continued success to you. And I think I'm going to make a little trip here to try some of that chicken and waffles. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much for coming.
And welcome back to the special edition of What's New Massachusetts, focusing on the Somerville Media Center's Telethon.
Yes, it's such an important cause. Once again, please dig deep. It doesn't matter if you give $1 or $100 or your time. Please support SMC.
As a proud member of the board of directors at SMC, I will say we've done such an amazing thing with the community. We've done a lot of outreach, and they've done a lot of amazing things for our show. We came from a local public access center, moved here about 1.5 years ago,
That's right.
and now we're syndicated throughout the entire state.
Yes, and it's in part, to a very large part, of the very dedicated staff. As you mentioned, they've received us with open arms. They're so kind and they're so generous with us. We couldn't have done it without them.
And I'm just really proud of SMC, and I hope that we raise tons of money with this telethon.
That's
if you want
right.
to donate to SMC, you can go to our website, whatsnewmassachusetts.com, and we'll post the link on our website, or you can see a link on the screen as well.
Yes, so there's always a way to donate, but once again, you can also volunteer as well. SMC supports the community, and it gives a journalistic voice to those who want to speak out.
Speak up, Somerville, and support your local media center.
Absolutely.
Have a great month.
Bye.
Bye.